Chapter 486. 2 Immortal Gu obtained. I want to see you refine the Gu personally. Fang Yuan had a thought as he asked the question to probe the land spirit. The refinement process of Gu masters were secretive. If someone saw them, the recipe might leak out or even expose the Gu master's unique methods. Of course, this was one of the agreements. Lang Yalan's spirit agreed immediately, out of Fang Yuan's expectations. Fang Yuan raised his brows, having a slight understanding. Back then, when Long-Hair Ancestor failed in refining Space Escape Gu, he wasted all of the materials that Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable had collected for his entire life. Among them, many Gu materials were extremely rare, and Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable only managed to get them out of pure luck. Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable was a rank 9 Demon Venerable. To repay his losses, as well as saving his reputation, Long-Hair Ancestor agreed to refine Gu for him. Allowing Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable to view the entire refinement process was not only to expose the recipe to pay back the Demon Venerable, it also proved his innocence. You saw the whole process. If the refinement fails, it has nothing to do with me. But now, right, there were no such concerns left. Land spirits were formed from the Blessed Land's heavenly power, the obsessions of the Gu immortals before death. They did not have vile thoughts, they were candid and straightforward. However, Lang Yalan's spirit was formed from the #1 refinement immortal, Long-Hair Ancestor. Even though he lost most of his memories, he retained most of Long-Hair Ancestor's refinement talent and attainments. Observing the land spirit refining Gu was a huge benefit to Fang Yuan. I had refined second aperture Gu before. This time I will observe the land spirit's techniques and gain some experience to improve myself. Maybe I would get to see a trace of Long-Hair Ancestor's glamour back in ancient times. Fang Yuan was looking forward to this Gu refinement. Lang Yalan's spirit waved his hand and teleported him to a huge hall. This hall was really big. The diameter of it was at least 10 li. There were all sorts of equipment. There were green copper cauldrons, red steel furnaces, rainbow water tanks, and even cave houses. When Gu masters refine Gu, they need the help of their equipment as well. The equipment in this hall was like a comprehensive exhibition. It was a huge eye-opener to Fang Yuan. Although he had 500 years of experience due to rebirth, he spent about 300 years wandering and fighting his way up to the top. He only managed to hold his own and freely roam the world to achieve his grand aspirations in his last 200 years. During that period, although he explored many other Gu paths, he had to resist the earthly calamities as well as manage his forces. All while gathering his immortal Gu refinement materials, he was very busy and overwhelmed. Although his foundation and refinement path could surpass the mortal realm, among Gu immortals, he was only second or third rate. There was no comparison to a legend like Long-Hair Ancestor. This is my Earth-grade room, C Gu Refinement Hall. Lang Yalan's spirit introduced, as Fang Yuan's expression changed upon hearing it. The land spirit would not lie. Such a grand hall was only one of the many Gu refinement halls in Langya Blessed Land. Earth-grade room C. How many of such halls did this blessed land have? At this moment, the land spirit waved. At an instant, a few thousand hairy men appeared in the hall. These hairy men were teleported over with a stunned expression, but they soon kneeled on the ground, shouting, "The hairy men greets Langya, old immortal." They spoke at the same time as their voices echoed in the hall. Lang Yalan's spirit's face showed some affection as he said, "Children, you may get up." He then waved his hand and sent the Gu refinement materials over to them. "Today we are refining an immortal Gu. Use the Gu recipe that I gave you to do it." The hairy men were obviously experienced in such matters. Upon hearing that they were refining an immortal Gu, the hairy men were stirred as they showed an excited expression. But immediately after, they calmed down and started researching the recipe in their hands before starting the Gu refinement. Several thousand hairy men refining Gu at once. This was not the first time Fang Yuan had seen this. Among the variant men, hairy men were most skilled at refining Gu. They were born with the talent for it. According to the records and back in the immemorial era, the hairy men started to refine Gu, even tying up Renzu's first son, verdant great son, attempting to use him to refine Eternal Gu. Hairy men refine Gu using their talent and inspiration. They worked casually and did not have the trace of toolwork left by human Gu masters. At Gu Immortal stage, having already surpassed mortals. To aid them in refining Gu, they would raise a number of hairy men. In Fang Yuan's previous life, he had kept some of them in his blessed land as well. But that was Blood Sea Blessed Land. The environment was harsh, and many batches of hairy men died, causing his interest in raising them to disappear. After Fang Yuan became a Gu Immortal, he had gathered a large number of hairy men to refine Gu in bulk for his demonic sect. Precisely because of his own experiences, he could tell that the hairy men here were not ordinary. These hairy men were simply too well raised. Look at their hair and skin. They were clear and shiny. Their eyes had spirit, and their faces were energetic. It showed that they lived in a good environment and had never been tortured by Langya land spirit. Most importantly, these hairy men were very agile and moved quickly. Each of them were great experts in Gu refinement. During the Gu refinement process, a few old hairy men even gave their suggestions to tweak the recipe. Looking at their casual movements, Fang Yuan's heart was pounding. Such a group of hairy men, if they were sold in treasure yellow heaven, they would be the elite of elite slaves. There would be at least 21 meters of treasure light. Those Gu immortals would fight for them. These hairy men had shocking attainments. Most of them were refinement masters. Several of the old hairy men who could suggest the tweaking of the recipe were already refinement grandmasters. Right now, Fang Yuan was still barely a refinement master. With such skilled subordinates, the refinement process was faster than Fang Yuan's refinement on Sancha Mountain by more than 10 times. These hairy men made the half-done product and handed it over to the old hairy men for inspection before giving it to Langya land spirit. Langya land spirit quickly collected the half-done products and after checking them, destroyed a few pieces and made the hairy men refine them again. After several tries, Langya land spirit was finally satisfied and started doing it himself, easily getting the half-done product of second aperture Gu. This was the same as the half-done version that Fang Yuan had right now. But Fang Yuan knew that the one in Langya land spirit's hands was way higher in quality. Eventually, Langya land spirit took out divine travel Guim. This divine travel Gu's surface was damaged. It was filled with injuries, and Fang Yuan's heart jumped upon seeing that. Lad, it is still not too late to change your mind. Langya land spirit stopped his actions, urging Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan frowned after thinking through it. He laughed. No, please continue. Scheming fellow, I couldn't hide it from you. Langya land spirit cursed, pinching his nose as he teleported several Gu worms over along with some precious materials. Fang Yuan stared with wide-opened eyes. He only recognized 2 of them. They were precious items that increased the chances of success in Gu refinement. If they were placed in treasure yellow heaven, the treasure light would hit 18 meters. Langya land spirit's every movement attracted countless gazes. The hairy men were watching in awe as their bodies shivered. Their eyes were full of extreme reverence. Fang Yuan watched with great anticipation. When Langya land spirit refined the Gu, it moved as smooth as water. There were no unnecessary movements or any atmosphere of panic. Langya land spirit displayed exemplary control. Fang Yuan gained a lot of insights. Although he wanted to continue watching like this, Fang Yuan bit his lips and forced himself to snap out of it, starting to execute his plan. He sat down cross-legged and took out 2 Gu that he had prepared prior to this. One was Clear Mind Gu, the other was Awakened Cloud Gu. These 2 Gu were rank 4. After Fang Yuan injected primeval essence into them, they started working. Clear Mind Gu turned into a breeze, entering his brain. The cotton-like Awakened Cloud Gu turned into a small white cloud and floated about Fang Yuan's head. Fang Yuan stared at the light lump that Langya land spirit was manipulating while bringing out 4 top-quality wines. With connecting Heaven Gu to enter Treasure Yellow Heaven, it was easy for him to gather top-quality wines. For this moment, he prepared at least 14 different wines. Sensing Fang Yuan's movement, Lang Yalan's spirit snorted in displeasure, but did not do anything to him. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly in relief, ignoring the piercing light that made his tears flow. He stared at the light lump intently. Finally, he saw divine travel goo turn into flowing water as it mixed with the other materials. Fang Yuan quickly took out the wine vats and gulped the liquor. At the same time, an intense feeling of tipsiness assaulted him. Fang Yuan quickly activated Clear Mind Gu, forcing himself awake as clarity was restored in his mind. At the same time, Awakened Cloud Gu rumbled and ensured that his mind was at its peak condition. After drinking 4 wines, Fang Yuan was still clear-headed, but he realized that nothing had happened yet. The light was still transforming. It had expanded by many times already since the start. It was larger than an elephant. It seems that divine travel goo has not disappeared yet. Immortal goo are unique. I have to continue drinking. Fang Yuan took out another vat and unsealed it, gulping the content. The light lump shrunk as Lang Ya Land Spirit's expression became more serious as it held the light lump. A moment later, after Fang Yuan drank the 8th wine, his vision was already turning blurry. At this moment, in Lang Ya Land Spirit's hand, the light lump expanded and shrunk in intervals. After 3 to 5 times, it settled, becoming second aperture goo. The moment second aperture goo was formed, Fang Yuan's body shuddered as all the drunkenness in his body gathered like the merging of rivers into the sea, condensing into one point. Out of nowhere, a divine opportunity descended as the Tao mark formed, causing this point to explode into one Gu Divine Travel Gu, second aperture Gu, Divine Travel Gu. 2 Immortal Gu obtained at the same time. Fang Yuan became completely sober as he stood up excitedly, laughing heartily. A truly profound scheme. Lang Ya Lan's spirit looked at Fang Yuan with an expression of fatigue. Its body was also turning hollow and weak. Fang Yuan was the person who obtained Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable's inheritance. Although Lang Ya Lan's spirit wanted divine travel goo, it could not attack Fang Yuan. The hairy men stared at Fang Yuan with furious, disdainful eyes. This vile human dared to plot against our beloved and supreme lord, Lang Ya Old Immortal. Fang Yuan paid these hairy men no heed. He stopped his laughter as he bowed to Lang Ya Lan's spirit. It was just a petty scheme. It is nowhere near graceful. Today I had a true eye-opener and had benefited a lot. I am shameful of my actions, but I am respectful towards you. I am willing to become your disciple.